Hello and welcome. This class is basically me sharing one of my favorite flows for when my hips and low back feel really tight. It's so yummy and so important to be able to move your hips and your spine for mobility and to just have your body feel some freedom. So especially if you spend a lot of time sitting, I know I do. In my off the mat life, I just sit at my desk all day. So this class is to help reverse some of the effects of all of that office life sitting. Join me on your mat. I have a blanket and a couple of blocks. They'll come in handy for sure. To start, I'm just gonna pad my mat with this blanket here. You can have whatever kind of blanket or pillow you want. You don't want it to be too thick, just a nice little padding. Sometimes people even have, like a small version of a yoga mat. That's fine too, whatever works for you. Go ahead and bring your knees to that area, toes together, knees a little wide, and take a child's pose. So arms out in front of you, and if your forehead connects to your mat, that's great. You can also use blocks or not. Totally up to you. Remember, this is your practice. I'm just a guide, so you're always encouraged to find what works for you, even as I'm giving you instructions. The instructions are not rules, they're just suggestions for things that you might explore. Take a nice big breath in through your nose. Let it fall out of your mouth. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time, big breath in. Big breath out. Now start to walk your hands back towards your body. Lift yourself up, hips over your knees, shoulders over your wrists. Bring your knees a little bit back. Inhale to lift your heart and lift your chin, let your tailbone lift, let your belly drop. You're still pressing into the earth, but letting your whole belly be soft. Inhale, pull your heart forward. Exhale, tailbone down. Let that kind of ripple through your spine naturally. Pull your belly button to your spine. Press the earth away around into your shoulders and let your chin drop to your chest. Cat pose. Inhale, let it initiate from your tailbone. Tailbone up, let your belly drop. You might feel your shoulders roll back as your heart pulls open and you lift your gaze. Exhale, reverse it. Tailbone down, belly button to spine. Ripple, ripple, ripple. Press the earth away. Spread your shoulder blades. Just let it be fluid and dynamic. Move with your breath. Inhale for flexion. Exhale for extension. Strike that, reverse it. Inhale for extension. Exhale for spinal flexion. Just a couple more rounds together. Just moving your spine. Now start to send your hips to the right and back. Exhale here, and with your inhale, shift your hips to the left and forward. Exhale, hips back and to the right. Inhale, hips forward and to the left. You can lean as far forward with your hips as you want. You don't have to go this far. It can be a little intense on the back. You can totally be here, and your circles can be pretty small. You decide how big you want your circles to be, and just move. Just a couple more rounds here. Just feeling it out, moving your hips. One more. And now reverse the circle. So hips back and to the left, and then move it around. Inhale, forward and to the right. Oh, that feels so good. Exhale, hips back and to the left. And just be aware of all of the sensations in your body. Hips forward and to the right with your inhale. And make your circle as big or as small as you want to. Being mindful and respectful of your low back, y'all. Maybe 2 more rounds. And then just find some stillness, crawl your knees back forward, make your way to that child's pose position. But more than child's pose, let your knees go super wide so that there's lots of space for your belly to just sink between your thighs. You can have your elbows to the floor like me, or you can be outstretched even more, like so. You find where you want to rest for now. Start to bring your hands underneath your shoulders and rise back to tabletop. Bring your blocks underneath your hands. They're going to be nice and useful for backing off of your shoulders and off of your wrists a little bit. Just step your right foot between your hands and lean into that knee a little bit. Lunge a little forward so you can feel a little bit of a stretch here. Keep your hands on your blocks if that feels right for you. You're always welcome to set your blocks aside if you prefer. Deep breath in. Exhale as you shift your hips back, flex your toes. Your knee might straighten a little bit. You can bring your hands back some and try to really pull the outer edge of your right foot towards your face. And just take like a nice inhale to bend into your knee, lengthen your spine. Exhale as you fold back over it. Inhale, bend back into that knee, flatten that foot onto the floor, stretch through the back leg, that hip flexor area here. Breathe in as you lift your heart and extend through the spine. Exhale as you fold over your leg, straighten-ish through that front leg. We're just lunging back and forth. When you lunge forward, lift your heart, inhale, and when your hips shift back, exhale, straighten a little bit through that front leg. Let's do it a couple more times. Your rhythm. Next time you lunge forward, just let your knee be right over your ankle. And you can keep that left hand on your block and start to, so left hand to the block, right hand to your right knee, and start to look and twist towards your right. You can stay like this if that feels right for you and if you're ready, and if it feels good on your shoulder, take your right hand up towards the sky. Try to keep that right hip pulling back rather than forward, and pull your, like, see if you can twist from your rib cage rather than your low back. One more big breath in. Exhale, right hand to the floor. Start to crawl to your left. Let your left knee swivel behind you. Start to straighten through your right leg. Left hand to the floor. Inhale as you stretch that right arm across and over your right ear, sort of. Right foot still planted to the floor. It's modified side plank. One breath in here. Exhale, hands back to the floor. Start to crawl back towards that front edge of your mat. Step your front foot back, knee down. Give it a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And left foot forward now. So hands to blocks or to the floor, totally up to you. Left foot a little forward, lunge into that knee, and let this hip flexor area stretch out on the right side. And if being on your hands isn't really working for you, you can always bring your hands to your knees and just lunge back and forth like so. So still the same thing, but just a little bit higher and without so much pressure on your wrists. With your exhale, you straighten through the front leg a little bit and melt over it. Inhale to lunge back into that knee and lift your heart, extension through the spine. Exhale for flexion, you fold over the leg, flex the toes. Inhale to lift your heart and stretch your hip flexor. Exhale, stretch your front hamstrings. Inhale, lunge forward. Just a couple more rounds. Find your own rhythm with your breath. That's so important to be able to be with yourself and your breath in any given moment. Next time you find yourself in that lunge, just take your knee right over your ankle. Right hand stays to the floor, left hand to your knee, or really it's the thigh. Start to look and twist to your left. And if your hand like right under your shoulder feels restrictive, just walk your hand out a little bit more. Take a nice inhale to find some length even in this twist. And as you're ready, let your left hand go up towards the sky. Nice gentle twist here. Keep this left knee sort of pulling inward towards the center line of your body, even as your left hip pulls back and stays level with your right. Deep breath in. Exhale, release left hand to the floor. Start to crawl around to your left. No, my right foot swiveled back behind me. Right, crawling to the right. Right hand lands right underneath the right shoulder. Inhale for that side plank variation. Stretch the right hand up and then over the ear. Keep the left foot grounded to the earth. Deep breath in here. Exhale as you start to crawl back to your left. Bend your knees on the way. Let it be nice and fluid and gentle. Once you get back to the front, left knee next to right. Take your rest. Palms up for a little softness on the wrist. Two more rounds of breath here. Again, come back to tabletop, and this time, back off of your blanket a little bit and take it and roll it. So if you have a pillow, you might not need to do this, but if you're working with a blanket like me, just roll it. Just roll the blanket and put it back towards the center of your mat. And from here, just sort of lift up into a downward facing dog, enough to bring your right knee up in front of your blanket. And if the blanket's in the way, please know that you can move it, but sometimes it's nice to have that support, or you can just use a block underneath your right hip, whatever knee is bent and forward. So fingertips to the floor. You can also use blocks here to help you stabilize a little bit, but really feel like engagement. So squeezing your inner thighs together to lift your heart, and maybe you take a moment to be with your hands up and this nice long length through your spine. You can totally keep your hands down. We're just building some strength in the spine and hips. Deep breath in. Exhale to lower. Hands in front of you. Bend your elbows and then inhale. Wave back up nice and long. Inhale. Exhale, bend your elbows and fold over your leg. Breathe in as you lift up. Every time you lift, you engage those inner thighs. Exhale to lower and soften. Let's do that 5 more times. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Breathe in and lift and extend. Exhale, lower, fold. 3 more. Just 2. Last 1. With this final one, just go ahead and let yourself surrender into the shape. And breathe. If you feel any pain or pressure on your knee, roll onto your back and take a figure 4, crossing your right ankle over your left knee and pulling your left knee in. Breathe here. So we engage with the inhale and give it some strength, and then we release on the exhale, and that helps to create some active stretching and what we call like tension and then release. It's a good way to start feeling the release of tension in your muscles by creating tension on purpose and then creating release on purpose. And when you can find that sort of awareness in your body, then when you're holding tension just in your regular everyday life off of your mat, you might notice and be aware of it and find a way to release it. So we practice on our mat, and then we take those tools off of our mat and into the world. Just a couple more breaths right here. Be with yourself in the moment with your breath. With your inhale, start to press yourself up. You might tuck your toes under like me. Lift yourself up. Move your blanket out of the way. Roll onto your right hip and stretch that left leg out. So now, for me, I need the blanket underneath my extended leg because it hyperextends and it's a little painful. So you decide if you need something there. And I also like to have the block underneath my right knee for this one. If you feel any, like your knee is just kind of hanging out in space, it's nice to just give yourself that support, yeah? All right, so turn towards your extended leg, press into your fingerprints, really root down through your seat as you lengthen up, and with your exhale, just allow yourself to round over your extended leg. Take a couple breaths here. If twisting towards the extended leg doesn't really work for you, it's also beneficial to just fold through the center if that's more accessible. Take a couple rounds of breath here. Just feeling your breath as it expands on the inhale. And surrender with the exhale. Lift up just enough to feel your spine get nice and long, and bring that left arm inside your left knee. It might be nice to have a block here, but I don't really feel like I need it personally. And if your blanket is here and your elbow can get down there, that's fine. But I want you to be like nice and long through your spine as you start to open your heart, your right shoulder to the right. Nice little twist here. You can also just like put your hand down towards the floor, the left hand down towards the floor as you take that twist. And then right elbow up towards the floor, the ceiling first, and then fingertips towards the ceiling. Maybe you reach over your right ear, still nice and firm through that left hand. Like my left elbow is pressing pretty firm into my left thigh here, and my left hand is on the floor. Keep your toes, left toes pointed up towards the ceiling as you just sort of stretch and reach up over your right side towards the left. Your gaze can be down towards the floor or up towards the right. Take one more big breath in and out. Inhale as you lift back up. And we're going to reverse some steps, yeah? Move your props out of the way. Sweep your left leg back behind you. Roll onto your right shin. Tuck your left toes. and lift that right leg up towards the sky. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. And then put that foot down. You're gonna bring your blanket back into place here at the center of your mat and lift your hips up just enough to bring that left knee towards your left wrist and your left heel in front of your right hip. And you'll see on this side what I mean by like adjusting this here. You want that support right underneath your left hip. And then fingers to the floor. I think this is where we use the block to find that engagement in your hips. So you might feel like as you pull your inner thighs together, you might feel like that lifts you a little bit. Feel that and walk your hands back towards your body. And if it feels accessible, take your hands away and stay with that openness in your heart. Nice strength in your spine. One more big breath in. Exhale as you start to surrender a little bit. Hands to the floor now. Let's do it dynamically. Inhale to lift and extend. Exhale as you bend your elbows and lower. Inhale to lift and extend. Exhale to bend your elbows and lower. Let's do that 5 more times. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Breathe in every time lifting. Find that lift in your pelvic floor and your hips. Exhale to release. Remember, tension and release. Inhale. And exhale. Just 2 more, y'all. Come with me. Breathe in. Breathe out. Last one. Inhale. Exhale to lower, surrender, and just marinate in this pigeon pose. Surrender the hips, soften through the jaw, and acknowledge any discomfort. If you're feeling pain at all, please know that pain is bad. Yoga invites us to avoid the suffering that can be avoided and to experience the discomfort that brings transformation. And it is up to each of us to make that distinction for ourselves. So know that I will never ever encourage you to stay in pain. There is no gain in pain. Be with where you are now and just and be kind to yourself and give your body what it needs. Take a few more rounds of breath here. Next inhale, start to bring your hands underneath your shoulders, lift yourself up. Move this out of the way of your left hip. Roll onto that left hip and sweep your right leg off to the right. Again, just prop up your shape however feels appropriate for you. Don't mind the construction noise. Apparently my neighbor decided to do some redecorating while I'm recording. Perfect. Yoga, let's do it. The practice begins now. So just turn towards your extended right leg and take a nice big breath in as you lengthen through your spine, rooting nice and firm through your sit bones. Exhale as you fold. Let yourself be round over your right leg. Again, you can fold through center if that feels more appropriate for you. But this fold is really good for getting this muscle that gets really tight. It's a muscle that is like on the left outer edge of your hip. The QL connects your hip to your spine in here, and it's just nice and nice to stretch it out sometimes. So if you can, lean a little bit to your right, even if you're folding through center. Let's do that. Deep breath in, deep breath out. One more round of breath in and out. Now rise up just enough so that you can bring your right arm inside your right leg. You can press your hand to the floor, but more important is to get that arm pressing to the inside of your right leg. You can take your left hand to your thigh and start to look to the left. And really try to keep those right toes up and the arm pressing into the thigh. And as you're ready, start to stretch that left. Notice elbow first and then extend the arm over the ear. You can go straight up towards the ceiling if that works for you. Nice and firm, arm into leg, leg into arm. Breathe and stretch through that left side. One more nice big inhale in and out. Inhale as you rise back up, and we'll reverse our steps again. Right leg sweeps back behind you, roll over that left shin so you're back into that pigeon position. Right toes under, lift that left knee up and extend it up and shake it out. And then go ahead and put your foot back to your mat, knees down. Take a moment to either find a seat on your bum. You can totally sit on your knees like me. Just take a moment to observe what you're feeling in your body. Hands to your heart. Thank you for joining me for this practice today and taking time to take care of you. And you can come back to this class anytime you need some space, to create some space in your hips and back. I'll see you next time.